Just leave. Go away. The person yelled angrily. Stand still outside, you silly, useless old lady. I'm feeling really cold. Can you please open the door? The next morning, my son's wife was found outside, feeling very cold. My name is Lucy. I'm 60 years old and I take care of the house. My husband died a few years ago. Now my son Tom, his wife Mary, and my grandson Alan live with me. We came together after my husband passed away, but I tried to give them space so I wouldn't bother them. They thought it would be too much if we were too close all the time, so they made changes to the house for more privacy. Mary is friendly and likes to spend time with her friends. Maybe it was better for us to not see each other often. Alan, my grandson, is in 4th grade. Sometimes I look after him when Mary goes out. He's really cute. Tom works at night, so we don't see each other much. He and Mary never argued, and they went out together sometimes. So I thought everything was fine with their marriage. Mary has lots of friends and throws parties at our house often. She stays close with her mom friends from Alex's school, and they all come over on Fridays for a party. These parties bothered me a lot. They started in the evening and went late into the night with loud noise and people drinking. Sometimes the husbands of Mary's friends would get drunk too. They didn't care if Alan got tired or hungry, so he'd often come to my room when he was bored. Once someone got hurt and an ambulance had to come because they fell into broken glass. Another time, a fight got so bad that they almost called the police. It was always me who had to calm Alan down and say sorry to the neighbors the next day for the trouble. Mary liked having these parties and didn't want them to stop. I thought about talking to Tom about it, but since he worked at night on Fridays, he never saw what was happening, and I didn't feel comfortable bringing it up with him. I once told Mary how worried I was about Alan. I'm concerned about all the chaos on Fridays. I don't want any emergencies. It's not good for Alan. I'll take care of him on Fridays, so why don't you all go out to a restaurant and drink responsibly? Living together stresses me out more than you realize. Wouldn't you feel the same if you were me? Also, going out to drink costs more money than doing it at home. I can't tell your friends they can't come here. You don't understand how I feel. She got really mad and wouldn't talk to anyone. Then one Friday, Alan came home from school feeling tired. He had a fever of 100 degrees when I checked. Of all days, it's Friday. Everyone will be here soon. Why don't you go to your room and rest so you don't bother us? Can't we just cancel for today? I didn't say everything I wanted to. I can take care of Alan today, Mary. Is that okay? I offered, but she declined, probably sensing my frustration. It's fine, she replied. You don't need to worry. We're not that noisy. Why does it always fall on moms when a kid gets sick? I didn't mean to blame her, but I had to say something. If you start feeling worse, come to my room, I told Alan. I have some TV shows we can watch tonight. I'll be up late. Thanks, Grandma, he said. I'll be okay. I started to feel a bit calmer, but it was still a big day. The noise from their gathering was loud even from my room. Then there was a soft knock on my door. My heart raced with worry about Alan. I hurried to open the door, and there he was, looking upset. Can I stay with you tonight? He asked, tears in his eyes. I can't sleep because my head hurts. Even when I cover my ears, it's still so noisy. I quickly brought him into the room and gave him a drink, which he drank in one go, probably because he was thirsty. His hands felt really warm. So I checked his temperature, and it had gone up to 102. I was furious for the first time in a while. But I held back because taking care of Alan was more important than arguing with Mary. Alan still had a fever the next morning and looked just as sick. Alan looks really sick, so I think we should take him to the hospital this morning, I suggested, because most hospitals only see patients in the morning on Saturdays. But Mary couldn't get out of bed, probably because she had been up late drinking the night before. Don't worry, it'll get better soon. You'll be fine, right? She said, still half asleep and not even looking up from her bed. Alan replied, but it was clear he wasn't okay. He's had asthma since he was little, so he's more likely to have asthma attacks when he's sick. As I watched him, worried he might have an attack, he started to wheeze, just like I had feared. Mary, I think Alan's having an asthma attack. Where's his medicine? I asked, but Mary was fast asleep and didn't respond. Okay, I'm taking him to the emergency room, all right? I repeated several times before I took Alan to the hospital. Thankfully, they were able to give him inhalation and medication, and I felt a huge relief seeing Alan feeling better. When Mary woke up that evening, she exploded. Don't be selfish. He didn't need to go to the hospital. How much did going to the emergency room cost you? I can't believe it. I tried to talk to you so many times, but you were too drunk to wake up. Can't you just stop drinking when Alan is sick? He was in a lot of pain. Fever is normal for kids, and it's already gone, so it wasn't a big deal. Asthma flare-ups happen too. Don't spoil him just because he's your grandson. I thought I should tell Tom about it, so I did, but he said, "But Alan is okay now, right? Don't worry too much about a kid's cold. Mary's dealing with a lot of stress from our living situation, so please try to be patient with her. It's important for you to take a step back since you all live together." I got the message loud and clear, but I didn't have much to say in response to his comments about the stress of living together. Tom was at work one day towards the end of the year when he suddenly needed surgery. He ended up spending the week in the hospital, including over the holidays. I'm thinking about spending this New Year's holiday at my parents' house for the first time in a while, Mary mentioned one day. Usually, our family spent New Year's cleaning up, enjoying our favorite foods, and going out to eat with my eldest daughter Emily and her family, who live nearby. I knew there was some distance between Mary and her parents, so I wondered what had changed. But if she could feel refreshed at her parents' place, that would be great for me. And I knew it would make Alan happy to spend time with his loving relatives. That sounds wonderful. Are you going to bring Alan with you? I'm sure your parents would be thrilled to see him. I'll bring him along while I'm there. Can you keep an eye on Tom? Of course. Aside from checking on Tom, I'll be spending New Year's alone this year. If you're going to be alone for the holidays, why don't you come to our house this year? Emily suggested. So I decided to accept her invitation. On New Year's Eve, both Mary and I were supposed to leave the house. I found myself sweating as I cleaned that day. Maybe it was because I was getting older, but cleaning felt like a task I had been avoiding for too long. Mary was out in the morning doing some shopping, so I tried to do as much cleaning as I could by myself. When Mary returned from shopping, she seemed a bit restless, fiddling with her watch. "Lucy, when are you planning to leave?" she asked. "Aren't you done yet?" "Well, I'm not sure. I haven't really set a time. I've done quite a bit, but I might not finish everything now. What about you? When are you planning to leave?" "If you go first, I'll make sure all the doors are locked and everything before I leave." I was sweating a lot from all the cleaning and had only thin clothes on. So when I got thrown out into the yard, I felt really cold and shivery, especially with the snow falling. "Mary, let me back in. I haven't had a chance to change my clothes. I'm freezing out here. Why are you taking so long? Just go already." My coat had been thrown out with my belongings, so I put it over my sweaty t-shirt for some extra warmth. I couldn't get back into the house because both the front door and the kitchen door were locked. I called out to Mary for a while, but she didn't answer, so I gave up. With no other choice, I decided to take a train to Emily's house. When I arrived, Emily was surprised to see me in such light clothes. "What's wrong? Why are you dressed like that?" she asked with concern. "Come inside quickly. You'll catch a cold. Have you seen Bob? He was worried about you because of the snow, so he went to pick you up. He said he texted you." It was only then that I realized I had left my phone at home. Emily's son, Bob, is a college student, and I felt bad because he had driven all the way there to pick me up, and we missed each other. Emily texted Bob to let him know that I had arrived by train. That's when Bob shared something shocking with us. "I tried calling you several times, but you never answered. Then I heard a phone ringing from inside the house. I thought you might be sick, so I went in. Strangely, the front door was unlocked. I found your phone in the living room, but when I heard noises from upstairs, I got worried and went to check it out." "It makes sense for Bob to be concerned, especially with the unlocked door," I commented. "Then I saw Mary and some man I didn't know hugging in the bedroom," Bob added. "What? But Mary was supposed to be at her parents' house with Alan," I exclaimed, surprised by the unexpected revelation. I was stunned and stood still for a moment. Suddenly, they leaped off the balcony and disappeared into the yard, covered in a comforter. I ran after them and searched the yard, but they were gone. "They had escaped. You let them get away?" Emily asked incredulously. "I don't think they got hurt. There were bushes and snow on the ground," I explained. I locked the second-floor door and was about to leave when I heard a noise from the next room and found Alan. "Alan was small enough to hide behind Bob," Emily remarked. I'm sorry, my mom told me not to leave my room until after the new year. Alan was in his room surrounded by snacks and juice. I brought Alan here because I thought he'd have more fun and be more comfortable, Mary explained. I made sure to lock the front door. The spare key is under the flower pot. I'm glad nothing has changed since I was a kid. You did a good job of locking the door, Mom. It's time to talk to Tom about the future. Let's play some games, Alan. The two happily left the room. I'm not interested in Mary's affair right now. They can work it out on their own, but I can't forget what she did to Alan, I muttered. We spent the night relaxing with Emily and the others because it was already late. The next morning, Emily, Bob, and I returned home. We decided to leave Alan with Emily's husband. When we arrived home, we saw Mary standing at the front door. She was barefoot, trembling, and wrapped in a comforter. Aha, there you are. You locked me out, she exclaimed. Mary shivered in the cold, her teeth chattering as we went into the house to warm up. At that moment, I couldn't even bring myself to speak to her. But eventually, once Mary had stopped shivering, I decided to break the silence. I heard from Bob. Who were you with on the second floor? I asked. What are you talking about? You must have the wrong idea, Mary replied defensively. And Bob, what were you doing breaking into someone's house? Why didn't you use the intercom? I added. I noticed a pair of men's shoes near the entrance. But are those Tom's? Let me go ask him, I said. Well, there was actually a burglar in the house, Mary admitted hesitantly. I was about to explode with anger when something surprising happened. It was a close call. That's serious. I think we should call the police, Emily suggested, pulling out her phone. Wait, I see what you're trying to do. All right, you caught me. So who is that man? I demanded. Mary hung her head in silence. Weren't you two together when you jumped off the balcony? What happened to him? Where is he? I pressed further. He left a while ago, Mary replied quietly. She seemed shocked to be abandoned by the man she was having an affair with. She had spent the whole night barefoot, wrapped in a comforter, while he had gone home. Oh, so he left you? That's unfortunate. Bob's words struck a nerve, and Mary's face flushed with embarrassment. How could you neglect Alan like that? Were you planning to lock him in the room while you had your fun? I'm not interested in your affair, but I can't forgive you for what you did to Alan. I expressed my anger. I agree with her. At his age, he can manage on his own just fine. I'm his mother, but that doesn't mean I have to prioritize him over everything else in my life. I have my own things to do. Just because he's my son doesn't mean he can interfere. Mary defended herself, shocking Emily, Bob, and me with her callousness. Tom will be coming home from the hospital soon. Alan and I were supposed to stay at Emily's house until then. But when the time came for Tom to be released, we decided to have the discussion at our house. However, I didn't want Alan to be there in case Mary said something hurtful to him. So I let him have some fun with Bob, I explained. When Tom arrived, Emily laid out the facts plainly. Mary, is this true? Tom asked, clearly shocked. Well, you were busy with work, and I was lonely. I'm sorry, Mary admitted, her voice shaking. Mary, did you really lock my mom out of the house in the snow? Tom asked, seeking clarification. No, that's not what happened. And what about locking Alan in the room while you were having an affair? I interjected, unable to contain my anger. Tom, didn't Mom tell you about the Friday night parties? Why didn't you and Mary talk about it? Alan spoke up, surprising us all with his maturity. I'm not sure how to approach it, but the important thing is to never hesitate to ask for help. I've been exhausted from work too, and it's been tough. And I'm sure Mary has her own issues living with Mom. You two seem to avoid facing problems and take the easy way out. Have you ever thought about others? You need to talk it out and figure out what you're going to do together. You're both adults. But remember, you have to consider Alan. I won't let you abandon him, Tom addressed the situation calmly. A few days later, they decided to get divorced. Mary was ordered to pay child support and alimony to Tom, who got custody of Alan. Mary confessed everything, and the divorce proceeded smoothly. We never found out who she was cheating with. Mary refused to talk about it, and Tom was too focused on building a new life for himself and Alan to dwell on it. But 3 months later, the other man's family found out about the affair, and we learned his identity. To my surprise, the other man was married to one of Mary's mom friends. He was one of the men who sometimes attended the Friday night parties. He and Mary continued their relationship even after she divorced Tom. The reason Mary agreed to the divorce so easily was that she didn't want anything about the parties to be revealed. I can't understand how she could stay with someone who left her out in the cold like that, I mused. Despite having to pay child support and alimony, Mary stayed with him. The other man's wife demanded alimony and that Mary cut ties with him. As I pondered, I couldn't shake off the thought of the unlocked front door that day. They had been so preoccupied with their affair that they forgot to lock it. If it had been locked, Bob would have definitely used the intercom. I told Bob that even if the door was unlocked and he suspected there was a burglar, he shouldn't have gone in because he could have been in danger. I was worried about Grandma, Alan explained. Those two would have been in for a surprise if a cop had shown up out of nowhere and caught them cheating. I'm not experienced enough, Bob admitted. Well, he can be a bit of a goofball, but he always tries to lighten the mood and treats Alan like his own brother, Emily explained, acknowledging Bob's loyalty. Mary had a wide circle of friends, and news of the affair spread quickly among them. Eventually, she left the area, probably finding it too difficult to stay in the same city. It seemed that her group of friends gave them a hard time until they decided to move. They're trying to make ends meet in their new place. They have to support Alan, pay alimony to Tom, and also pay alimony to his ex-wife. Mary's relationship with her parents is strained, and she's working tirelessly with no support, I explained. She called our house once. I'm so sorry, she said. I'm lonely and I'm struggling because I have no one to turn to. Please forgive me. Please help me. It's one thing to want to see or talk to Alan, but it's another to try to avoid taking responsibility for what she did, I thought bitterly. The children of Mary's friends gave Alan a hard time for a while because of Mary's actions. Tom managed to talk to their parents and the kids, and they were able to resolve things among themselves. But I can't help but wonder how much it hurt Alan to have his mother disappear and then be bullied by his own friends, I said sadly. I thought about telling Mary how much Alan is struggling, but I doubt she would care, I admitted. Is that all you wanted to say? Emily asked. Don't contact me, I replied firmly before hanging up the phone. I've moved in with Tom and Alan. There have been challenges, and there will be more to come, but we'll face them together. Tom has also cut back on his work hours to spend more time with Alan. I'm grateful to Emily and her family for all their support during this time, I concluded gratefully. Emily said many things I should have said. Bob cares deeply for Alan, and they've become like brothers. I hope Alan will be raised in a loving family. I'm glad I get to be here to see him grow up, I added with a hint of hope for the future.